Repetition statements, for loop. Think back to any very difficult quantitative problem that you had to solve in some science class. How long did it take? How many times did you solve it? What if you had millions of data points that had to be processed using the same solution? Only need to solve it once. Tell the computer to repeat n times. This is the basis for the programming concept called a loop statement. MATLAB provides two types of loops, a counted loop and a conditional loop. A counted loop is a for loop, used when you know ahead of time how many times some action will be repeated. Repeat n times. A conditional loop is a while loop, used when you do not know ahead of time how many times some action will be repeated. Repeat until some logical statement becomes false. Here is the syntax for loop. The for keyword is a reserved word in MATLAB. The loop variable, which can be any valid variable name, traditionally we use I, J, K, or other single letters. The range or list of values the loop variable will take on can be any vector, but typically the colon operator is used. The action that will be performed during each iteration. And the end keyword signifies that the code should go back to the beginning of the loop statement if more iterations remain. Let's make a simple for loop to see how everything works. During each iteration, loop variable I is changed. I is printed using fprintf. Note that the actions must be indented. Makes the code easier to read. And MATLAB editor does this automatically. The loop variable can change by any increment. In the previous slide, the output increments only by 1. In this example, the output increments by 3. For j is equal to 0 to 21, incremented by 3. So it displays from 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21. The loop variable can have positive or negative values. Most commonly values are positive. After loop is complete, can still use the loop variable and has the final value of the loop. So in this case, we have for k is equal to negative 100 to 40 with an increment of 20. So it will display all the range from negative 100 to 40. And after displaying it, the value of k will be incremented by 10. And then it will be displayed. So val is equal to 50. The loop iterations can be defined by any vector. This is not typical. Whenever possible, use the colon operator. So for this example, we have the list. And here are the list of vectors. 2, 6, 1, 8, and 10. In this example, all we need is to print all the numbers inside the vector. So here is the output in the command window. 2, 6, 1, 8, and 10. Here is another common use of loop. Perform an operation on each and every data point one by one. So in this case, we have a data which has a range of 3 to 21 with an increment of 3. So we need to print the new data and the old data. So initially, we have 3. So the new data is being multiplied by 2. So it will display 3 and 6 until it reaches the out of range. Let's mimic the behavior of the MATLAB function sum. Use a for loop. So in this case, we have to total all the numbers inside this vector. So initially, the total sum is equal to 0. for j is equal to 1 to the length of numbers. The length of numbers signifies the position of each numbers in the vector. And then, it will display the total sum. Nested for loops. We can nest for loops into inner and outer loops. Can also be done with while loops, often useful for dealing with 2D data. So here is the outer loop variable 1 is iterated over range 1, and here is the inner loop variable 2, which is iterated over range 2. For loop variable is equal to range 1, then you go to the inner loop, and then finish the inner loop first before going outside again of the loop variable 1. Here is an example. For I is equal to 1 to 3, and for j is equal to 1 and 2, print j and I. So initially, we have both I and j as 1. So I and j, both values are 1. And then, we have the inner loop, so we have to increment by 1. So j now becomes 2. And then, I is equal to 1, j is equal to 2. Until both of the ranges are satisfied. Let's try another simple nested loop. For I is 1 to 3, and for j is equal to 1 to 2, with another inner loop which is k 1 to 3. Again, this nested loop prints the value of I, j, and k until its designated range. So as you notice on the final output, I is 3, j is 2, and k is 3. Once it reached the range, the loop will terminate. That's it for today's topic. Thank you very much.